The cold wind of Christmas Eve cut through the streets of New York City, carrying with it tiny snowflakes that danced under the glow of streetlights. Most stores had closed their doors hours ago, their windows dark and empty. The city that never sleeps seemed unusually quiet tonight, as if holding its breath for the magic of Christmas morning. Mr. James Carter walked slowly down Fifth Avenue, his expensive black coat doing little to warm the chill he felt inside. He was 52 years old, tall and well-dressed, with silver hair at his temples that made him look distinguished. For 25 years, he had built his technology company from nothing into a billion-dollar empire. He had everything money could buy: a penthouse apartment, luxury cars, and respect from business leaders around the world. But tonight, none of that mattered. His phone sat silent in his pocket. No calls, no messages, no one wondering where he was or wishing him a Merry Christmas. His daughter Emily was celebrating with her husband's family in California, too busy to visit this year. His son Michael had taken his family skiing in Switzerland. They had invited him, but the invitation felt more like an obligation than genuine desire for his company. Mr. Carter stopped in front of a small Italian restaurant called Angelo's. Through the frosted windows, he could see warm golden lights and a few tables with white tablecloths. A handwritten sign on the door read, "Open Christmas Eve, limited menu." He hesitated for a moment, then pushed the door open. A small bell chimed as he entered. The restaurant was nearly empty, with only two other customers, an elderly couple sharing pasta at a corner table. The smell of garlic bread and tomato sauce filled the air, reminding Mr. Carter of happier times when his wife was still alive and their home was full of laughter and cooking. "Welcome, sir," a tired-looking waiter said, approaching with menus. "Just one tonight?" The question stung more than it should have. "Yes, just one," Mr. Carter replied quietly. The waiter led him to a table by the window, where he could watch the snow beginning to fall more heavily outside. Mr. Carter sat down and accepted the menu, though he barely looked at it. The waiter returned with water and a basket of bread, then disappeared into the back. Carter stared at the empty chair across from him. He remembered the last Christmas he spent with his wife, Sarah, before cancer took her 5 years ago. She had always loved the holidays, decorating their home with lights, baking cookies, singing carols after she died. Christmas became just another day he tried to get through. He had thrown himself into work, believing that success would fill the emptiness. His company grew, his bank account swelled, and awards lined the walls of his office. But somewhere along the way, he lost touch with the people who mattered most. Phone calls with his children became shorter. Visits became rare, and before he knew it, they had lives he barely knew anything about. The waiter returned. "Are you ready to order, sir?" "The lasagna, please," Mr. Carter said, choosing the first thing his eyes landed on. "Excellent choice, and to drink." "Just water is fine." The waiter nodded and left again. Mr. Carter pulled out his phone and scrolled through old photos. There was Emily's college graduation, Michael's wedding, his grandchildren's birthday parties, moments he had attended but barely remembered because his mind was always on the next business deal, the next meeting, the next target to reach. When his food arrived, he ate mechanically, tasting nothing. The lasagna was probably delicious, but it felt like cardboard in his mouth, around him. The restaurant seemed to grow even quieter. The elderly couple finished their meal and left, waving goodbye to the waiter who clearly knew them well. Now Mr. Carter was completely alone in the dining room. The silence pressed down on him like a heavy blanket. Outside, families hurried past the window, carrying wrapped presents and laughing together. Children pointed excitedly at Christmas decorations. Their faces bright with joy, he watched them with a hollow feeling in his chest, wondering when he had become the man sitting alone on Christmas Eve, wondering when success had turned into loneliness, wondering if it was too late to change. The clock on the wall ticked toward 8 o'clock. Mr. Carter pushed his half-eaten dinner away and signaled for the check. Maybe he would just go home, watch some television, and wait for this holiday to be over. That had been his plan for the last 5 years, and he saw no reason to change it now. Just as the waiter was bringing his bill, the restaurant door opened again, and cold air rushed in along with the sound of laughter. The restaurant door swung open with a cheerful jingle, and Mr. Carter looked up from his bill. A young woman entered first, shaking snow from her coat. Behind her came a girl who looked about 12 years old, wearing a bright red winter jacket and a yellow knit hat with a fuzzy pom-pom on top. "Mama, I told you this place would be open," the girl said excitedly, her voice full of energy that seemed to light up the quiet restaurant. Her mother smiled and nodded. "You were right, Maya. You're always right about these things. They chose a table near the center of the room, not far from where Mr. Carter sat. The waiter appeared quickly. Seeming happy to have more customers on this quiet holiday evening, Maya pulled off her hat, revealing her dark curly hair that bounced around her shoulders. She looked around the restaurant with curious brown eyes, taking in every detail: the Christmas wreath on the wall, the candles on each table, the soft music playing in the background. Mr. Carter tried not to stare, but there was something about their warmth and closeness that drew his attention. He watched as Maya's mother helped her remove her jacket, the simple gesture full of care and love. It reminded him of when his own children were young, when they needed him for everything, when he was their hero instead of just a name on birthday cards and holiday checks. "Can we get the spaghetti and meatballs?" Amaya asked her mother, her eyes bright with hope. Her mother hesitated. Glancing at the menu with concern, Mr. Carter noticed her checking the prices carefully, calculating in her head. "How about we share one plate, sweetheart?" she suggested gently. "We had a big lunch, remember?" Maya nodded without complaint, though Mr. Carter suspected the big lunch was probably not as big as the mother claimed. He recognized the careful mathematics of someone making every dollar count. He had lived that life once, long ago, before the success and the money, when he and Sarah counted pennies to make sure Emily and Michael had everything they needed. Strange how he had forgotten those days, the struggle that made every small victory feel enormous, the way a shared meal felt like a feast because they were together. Mr. Carter's phone buzzed in his pocket, breaking his thoughts. He pulled it out and saw a text message from his assistant. "Rebecca, Merry Christmas, Mr. Carter. Hope you're enjoying your evening," it read. He stared at the message. A text from his assistant was the closest thing to a Christmas greeting he would receive tonight. He typed back a quick, "Thank you, same to you," and put the phone away. The screen went dark, and he caught his reflection in its black surface. A tired man with lines around his eyes and a mouth that had forgotten how to smile naturally. At the next table, Maya was telling her mother about a book she had been reading at school. Her hands moved as she talked, acting out scenes, making her mother laugh. The sound of that laughter struck something deep in Mr. Carter's chest, a painful reminder of joy he no longer had access to. He thought about calling Emily or Michael, but what would he say? "Merry Christmas, I'm eating alone in a restaurant?" And they would feel guilty, or worse, they would offer empty promises about visiting soon that both sides knew wouldn't happen. The distance between them was not measured in miles, but in years of missed moments, forgotten conversations and priorities that placed work above family. The waiter brought bread to Maya's table, and she immediately grabbed a piece, spreading butter on it with concentration. "Mama, do you think it's snowing hard enough to stick?" she asked between bites. "Maybe we'll have a white Christmas after all." "Maybe, baby," her mother replied. "That would be beautiful, wouldn't it?" "Can we walk through Central Park tomorrow and see all the snow?" Maya asked, her eyes shining with excitement. "Of course we can," her mother promised. "We'll make it a Christmas adventure." Mr. Carter felt a sharp pain in his heart. He remembered making similar promises to his children, promises he often broke because of meetings, conferences, and business trips. "Daddy has to work," became the phrase that defined his relationship with Emily and Michael. One broken promise led to another, until eventually they stopped asking him to join them for anything. Sarah had tried to bridge the gap. "The kids miss you, James," she would say softly. "They're growing up so fast, don't miss it." But he always had a reason why this deal was important, why this client couldn't wait, why success required sacrifice. The ultimate sacrifice, he now realized, was the very thing that made success meaningful, the people to share it with. Maya's spaghetti arrived, and mother and daughter began to eat, sharing the single plate between them. They took turns twirling the pasta on their forks, not keeping score of who ate more, just enjoying the simple pleasure of a warm meal together on Christmas Eve. Mr. Carter picked up his water glass and took a long drink, trying to wash away the bitter taste of regret. Through the window, he could see families hurrying home, probably to houses filled with decorations, presents, and traditions passed down through generations. His penthouse apartment had none of those things. No tree, no stockings, no cookies left out for Santa. Just expensive furniture, stark white walls, and silence. So much silence that sometimes he turned on the television just to hear human voices. Even if he wasn't watching, "Excuse me, sir, is everything all right with your meal?" the waiter asked, noticing Mr. Carter's untouched plate. "Yes, it's fine, Mr. Carter replied automatically. "Just not very hungry tonight." The waiter nodded sympathetically and cleared the plate away. Mr. Carter pulled out his wallet to pay, calculating the tip with the same precision he used for everything else in his life. Numbers made sense, numbers followed rules. Numbers didn't leave you sitting alone on Christmas Eve wondering where everything went wrong. As he placed cash on the table, he heard Maya laugh again. The sound made him pause. It was such a pure, genuine sound, unfiltered by disappointment or complications. When was the last time he had laughed like that? When was the last time anything brought him that kind of simple, uncomplicated joy? He couldn't remember. Mr. Carter stood up from his table, ready to leave the warmth of Angelo's restaurant for the cold emptiness of his apartment. He picked up his coat from the back of the chair and slowly put it on, button by button, as if each one weighed 100 pounds. The waiter had already taken his payment and disappeared into the kitchen. Outside, the snow was falling harder now. Creating a white blanket over the city streets, cars moved slowly, their headlights cutting through the darkness like searching eyes. Mr. Carter could see his reflection in the window, an older man in an expensive coat, standing alone while the world celebrated around him. He turned to walk toward the door, but something made him pause. It was a feeling he couldn't quite name, like being watched. He glanced toward the center of the restaurant where Maya and her mother sat. Maya was looking directly at him. Her brown eyes were filled with something he hadn't seen in a long time, genuine curiosity mixed with concern. Not the polite concern people showed at business meetings, but real human worry, the kind a child shows when they see something that doesn't make sense in their world. Mr. Carter quickly looked away, feeling uncomfortable under her innocent gaze. He wasn't used to being noticed, not really. People knew his name and his company, but they didn't see him. They saw his success, his money, his power. But this young girl seemed to see something different. He reached for the door handle, eager to escape. "Mama," he heard Maya whisper, though not quietly enough. "Why is that man eating all by himself on Christmas?" Her mother's voice was gentle but firm. "Shh, baby, that's not polite. Some people like to eat alone." "But nobody likes to be alone on Christmas," Maya insisted, her voice carrying that absolute certainty that children have before the world teaches them to doubt. "That's the saddest thing ever." Carter's hand froze on the door handle. The words hit him like a physical blow. Out of the mouths of children came the truth he had been avoiding all evening. All year, all 5 years since Sarah died. He was sad, desperately, achingly sad. But he had convinced himself that being alone was a choice, not a condition. "Maybe he has family waiting for him at home," Maya's mother suggested, trying to explain away what her daughter had observed. "I don't think so," Maya said softly. "And Mr. Carter could hear the sympathy in her young voice. "He looks like how I feel when nobody picks me for their team at recess." Those words cracked something inside Mr. Carter's chest. He stood there, one hand on the door, unable to move forward or backward. When was the last time someone had really seen him? When was the last time anyone cared whether he was lonely or not? His assistant sent polite messages. His business partners called about deals. His children texted on holidays. But nobody asked if he was okay, if he was happy, if he was drowning in the success he had spent his whole life chasing. Behind him, Maya's chair scraped against the floor. "Where are you going?" her mother asked. "Just to the bathroom." "Mama," Maya replied. But Mr. Carter heard her footsteps coming closer. Not toward the bathroom at all, but toward him. He turned around slowly. Not sure what to expect, Maya stood a few feet away, her head tilted to one side, studying him with those observant eyes. Up close, he could see that she had a small scar above her left eyebrow and a gap between her front teeth when she smiled, which she was doing now, tentatively, as if testing whether he might smile back. "Hello," she said simply. "Hello," Mr. Carter replied, his voice sounding rough and unused. "Are you leaving?" Maya asked. "Yes, I was just about to," he said, then added unnecessarily, "It's getting late." Maya nodded seriously, as if this was important information. "It's Christmas Eve," she announced. "Do you have somewhere to go?" "Somewhere with family?" The directness of children was startling. Adults had learned to dance around difficult topics, to ask, "How are you?" without really wanting to know the answer. But children like Maya asked the questions that mattered, the ones that cut straight to the truth. "No," Mr. Carter admitted, surprised at his own honesty. "I don't have anywhere to go." Maya's face fell, and she looked genuinely distressed by this information. "That's really sad," she said, not as an insult but as a simple statement of fact. "Everyone should have somewhere to go on Christmas," Maya, her mother called, having realized her daughter was not actually going to the bathroom. Come back here, don't bother the gentleman. I'm not bothering him. Mama, Maya called back, then turned to Mr. Carter. Am I bothering you? He should have said yes, should have taken the exit she was offering, should have walked out that door and back to his organized, controlled, lonely life, but instead, he found himself saying, No, you're not bothering me. Maya's smile grew wider, revealing that gap-toothed grin again. See, Mama? She called triumphantly. Her mother stood up. Looking apologetic and slightly embarrassed, she walked over, placing a gentle hand on Maya's shoulder. I'm so sorry, sir, she said to Mr. Carter. My daughter sometimes forgets her manners when she's trying to help. Trying to help? Mr. Carter repeated, curious despite himself. Maya looked up at her mother, then back at Mr. Carter. Well, she said, speaking slowly as if working out her thoughts as she went. I was thinking, you're eating alone. And that's sad, and we're eating alone. Which is a little bit sad, too, because it's just me and Mama this year. So maybe, she paused, gathering courage, maybe you could eat with us? Then nobody would be sad and alone. The offer hung in the air between them, simple and pure, coming from a place of genuine kindness without any hidden motive or agenda, Mr. Carter stared at this 12-year-old girl who had somehow seen through his expensive coat and important title to the lonely man underneath. Her mother looked mortified. Maya, you can't just invite strangers to... But he's not a stranger anymore, Maya interrupted. We talked, that makes us acquaintances. We learned that word in school. Acquaintances can eat together, Mr. Carter felt something strange happening to his face. It took him a moment to realize he was smiling. Really smiling. Not the practiced business smile he used in meetings, but a genuine expression of warmth. That's very kind of you, he managed to say, his voice thick with emotion he didn't quite know how to name. So is that a yes? Maya asked hopefully. He should say no. Should walk out that door right now. What was he doing, accepting dinner invitations from children he didn't know? How about his mouth seemed to have different ideas than his brain, I suppose, he heard himself saying. I suppose that would be nice. Maya's face lit up like a Christmas tree, her smile so bright it seemed to fill the entire restaurant. Really? She asked, bouncing slightly on her feet. You'll really eat with us? Mr. Carter nodded, feeling both terrified and oddly relieved at the same time. Yes, I suppose I will. Maya's mother still looked uncertain, her hand resting protectively on her daughter's shoulder. Sir, you really don't have to, she said quietly. Maya sometimes gets carried away with her ideas. We don't want to make you uncomfortable. You're not making me uncomfortable, Mr. Carter said, and he realized with surprise that it was true. For the first time in years, someone wanted his company for no reason except simple human kindness. Not because of his money, not because of his business connections, not because they wanted something from him. Just because a 12-year-old girl thought nobody should be alone on Christmas. Then it's settled, Maya announced with the confidence of someone who had just solved a major problem. She grabbed Mr. Carter's hand, her small warm fingers wrapping around his cold ones, and began pulling him toward their table. Come on, we already have spaghetti. But we can order more stuff, her mother followed behind, looking apologetic but also slightly amused. My name is Grace, she said to Mr. Carter as they walked. Grace Thompson. And this whirlwind of energy is my daughter Maya. James Carter, he replied, allowing himself to be led to their table. It's nice to meet you both. The waiter appeared, looking confused to see Mr. Carter returning to sit with the mother and daughter. Is everything all right? Eddie asked. Everything is perfect, Maya announced. Our new friend is going to eat with us. Can we get another plate, please? And maybe some more bread? The waiter smiled, seeming to understand something beautiful was happening. Of course, young lady, I'll bring it right away, Mr. Carter sat down across from Maya and Grace, feeling strangely out of place at this simple table after years of eating at the finest restaurants in the world. The tablecloth had a small stain on one corner. The silverware was basic and well used, but something about it felt more real than any five-star establishment he had visited. So, Mr. Carter, Grace began, clearly trying to make polite conversation. Do you live in the city? Please call me James, he said. Yes. I have an apartment uptown. We live in Brooklyn, Maya chimed in, already twirling spaghetti on her fork. We took the subway here because Mama wanted to show me the Christmas lights in Manhattan. They're so pretty. Have you seen them? Mr. Carter realized with shame that he hadn't. He had walked past them countless times, too focused on his phone or his thoughts to actually look up. I'm afraid I've been too busy to notice, he admitted. Too busy to notice Christmas lights? Maya said, her eyes wide with disbelief. That's like being too busy to notice rainbows or puppies. Those are the best things to notice, Grace smiled at her daughter's logic.
Maya has always been very observant, she explained to Mr.
Carter. She notices everything, sometimes too much. I don't think you can notice too much, Maya said seriously. Noticing stuff is important, like, I noticed that you looked sad when you were sitting alone. And now that you're sitting with us, you look less sad. That's good noticing, mister. Carter found himself speechless. When was the last time someone had read his emotions so accurately? And when was the last time anyone had bothered to try? But you're very perceptive, Maya, he finally managed to say. The waiter returned with an extra plate and a fresh basket of warm bread. Maya immediately pushed the basket toward Mr. Carter, you have to try this, she insisted. It has garlic butter on it and it's amazing. He took a piece, and Maya was right. It was delicious. Simple, warm, and perfect. Thank you, he said. So what do you do, James? Grace asked, taking a small sip of her water. For a moment, Mr. Carter considered giving his usual answer. CEO of Carter Technologies. Worth billions, featured in Forbes and Business Weekly. But something stopped him. These people didn't know who he was, didn't care about his accomplishments or his bank account. They had invited him to dinner simply because they saw a lonely man. I work in technology, he said simply. What about you, Grace? I'm a nurse at Brooklyn Methodist Hospital, she replied. Night shift mostly, which means Maya stays with my sister during the week. It's not ideal, but we make it work. Mama saves people's lives, Maya said proudly. She's like a superhero, but instead of a cape. She wears scrubs, Grace laughed. The sound warm and genuine. I don't know about superhero.
Baby, but I do my best. Mr. Carter thought about the difference between them.
Grace Thompson, working night shifts to support her daughter, probably struggling to pay bills, living in a small apartment in Brooklyn. And yet, she seemed happier than he had been in years. She had something he had lost, purpose beyond profit, love beyond luxury, connection beyond contracts. Your daughter is lucky to have you, Mr. Carter said quietly. Something flickered across Grace's face, appreciation mixed with sadness. I'm the lucky one, she said, glancing at Maya with such obvious love that Mr. Carter felt his throat tighten. She's my whole world. Where's your family, James? Maya asked, in that direct way children have of asking exactly what adults are thinking but won't say. Maya, Grace said softly. That might be a personal question. It's okay, Mr. Carter said, though it wasn't. Not really. I have 2 children, Emily and Michael. They're adults now. Living their own lives. Emily is in California. Michael is in Switzerland. Do you see them a lot? Maya asked. No, Mr. Carter admitted, the word tasting bitter. No, I don't. Why not? Maya pressed, her curiosity innocent but penetrating. How could he explain to this child the complex distance between him and his children? The years of choosing work over family dinners, missing school plays and soccer games, being physically present but emotionally absent? I was very busy when they were growing up, he said carefully. I thought I was doing the right thing, working hard to give them a good life. But somewhere along the way, I forgot that being there was more important than anything I could buy them. The table fell quiet. Grace looked at him with understanding, and Maya tilted her head thoughtfully. You could call them, Maya suggested simply. People like getting phone calls, especially from their dads. Maybe I will, Mr. Carter said, though he wasn't sure he believed it. What would he say after all this time? How do you bridge years of distance with a single phone call? You should definitely call them, Maya insisted, reaching across the table to pat his hand. Tomorrow is Christmas. That's when families are supposed to be together. Even if you can't see them, you can at least talk to them. Her small hand on his felt like an anchor, pulling him back from the cold isolation he had been drowning in. The 3 of them sat together at the small table, and slowly the awkwardness began to fade. Maya kept the conversation moving with her endless questions and observations, never seeming to run out of things to say. The waiter brought more food, garlic bread, a small salad, and even a dessert menu that Maya studied with great interest. Tell us about your job, Maya said to Mr. Carter, resting her chin on her hands. What's technology? Is it like computers and phones? Yes, exactly like that, Mr. Carter replied, finding it surprisingly easy to talk to this curious child. My company makes software. special programs that help businesses work better and faster. That sounds important, Maya said thoughtfully, but does it make you happy? The question caught him off guard. Nobody had ever asked him that before. They asked if he was successful, if he was winning contracts, if his stock price was rising. But happy? I used to think it did, he answered honestly. But lately I'm not so sure. Grace looked at him with understanding. Sometimes we chase things thinking they'll make us happy, she said softly, and then we catch them and realize happiness was somewhere else all along. Like when I wanted a puppy so bad, Maya added. I thought a puppy would make me the happiest person ever, but then Mrs. Chen next door got a puppy, and I learned that puppies are a lot of work. They chew things and pee everywhere. Now I just play with Mrs. Chen's puppy when I want to, and I'm happy without all the work. Mr. Carter couldn't help but laugh. It was such a simple example, but somehow it captured exactly what he was feeling. He had chased success thinking it would make him happy, and now he had it but felt emptier than ever. What makes you happy, Maya? Heidi asked. Maya thought about it seriously. Lots of things, she said. Reading books, drawing pictures, spending time with Mama, snow days when school is closed, hot chocolate with marshmallows when people are nice to each other. She paused, then added, like right now, this makes me happy. Sitting here with Mama and you, eating dinner on Christmas Eve, this is a good moment. Yes, Mr. Carter agreed quietly. Yes, it is, Grace smiled at her daughter, then turned to Mr. Carter. Maya has always been good at appreciating the present moment, she said. She gets that from her grandmother. My mama used to say that happiness isn't something you find at the end of a journey. It's something you notice along the way. Your mother sounds wise, Mr. Carter said.
She was, Grace replied, her voice soft with memory.
We lost her 2 years ago, cancer. That's part of why this Christmas is just Maya and me, usually. We'd be at a big family gathering with all my brothers and sisters. But this year everyone's scattered. One brother is deployed overseas. Another is working in Texas. My sister just had a baby and can't travel. So it's just us two, but that's okay, Maya said quickly, as if worried Mr. Carter might feel sorry for them. Because we have each other. And that's the most important thing, right, Mama? Right, baby, Grace agreed, squeezing her daughter's hand. Mr. Carter felt a lump forming in his throat. Here was a woman who had lost her mother, who was raising a daughter alone, who worked night shifts and probably struggled to make ends meet. And yet she seemed more content than he had ever been. She had something he had traded away. Real connection, genuine love, the ability to find joy in simple moments. You're a very good mother, Mr. Carter said to Grace, meaning every word. Grace's eyes glistened slightly. Thank you, she said. That means a lot. Some days are hard, and I worry I'm not doing enough, but then Maya does something amazing, or says something wise beyond her years, and I think maybe I'm doing okay. You're doing more than okay, Mr. Carter assured her. You're raising a remarkable young lady. Tell us about your children. Grace said gently, Emily and Michael, right? What are they like? Mr. Carter took a deep breath. When was the last time someone asked him about his children as people, not just as his heirs or successors? Emily is 30 now, he began slowly. She's a lawyer in San Francisco. Smart, determined, stubborn like her mother was. She married a good man named David 3 years ago. They have a little boy, my grandson Lucas, who just turned 2. You're a grandpa? Maya exclaimed. That's so cool. Do you see your grandson a lot? No, Mr. Carter admitted, the shame heavy in his voice. I've only met him twice. Once when he was born, and once last summer. I keep meaning to visit more. But work always seems to get in the way. Maya frowned. But don't you miss him? Or don't you want to play with him and read him stories? Yes, Mr. Carter said, and realized he meant it. Yes, I do, very much. And Michael? Or Grace prompted gently. Michael is 27, Mr. Carter continued. He's different from Emily. More creative, less interested in business and money. He's a photographer, travels all over the world taking pictures. He's actually very talented. He had an exhibition in Paris last year. Did you go? Amaya asked. Mr. Carter shook his head. No. I had a board meeting I couldn't miss. The words hung in the air, sounding hollow even to his own ears. A board meeting. How many moments had he missed for board meetings, conference calls, business deals? How many times had he chosen a meeting over his children? It's not too late, you know, Grace said quietly. To reach out, to rebuild those connections. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. I don't know, Mr. Carter said doubtfully. So much time has passed. So many missed opportunities, I wouldn't even know where to start. You start with hello, Maya said simply. That's how all conversations start. Just say hello and then say you're sorry for missing stuff. And then say you love them? Grown-ups always make things so complicated. Mr. Carter felt tears pricking at his eyes. This 12-year-old girl was giving him better advice than any therapist or business consultant ever had. You're right, he said, his voice rough with emotion. You're absolutely right. The waiter appeared with the dessert menu, but Maya was more interested in continuing the conversation. What was your favorite thing about when your kids were little? When she asked Mr. Carter, he thought back, pushing past the memories of missed moments to find the good ones. Emily used to sing all the time, he remembered, a smile forming on his face. Made up songs about everything. There was one about brushing teeth that went on for 5 verses, and Michael, he laughed softly. Michael would build these elaborate forts out of couch cushions and blankets. He'd spend hours creating these complex structures. That sounds nice, Maya said wistfully. It was, Mr. Carter agreed. It really was. I just wish I had appreciated it more at the time. The evening continued, and something unexpected happened to Mr. Carter. He began to relax. The tension he always carried in his shoulders started to ease. His carefully constructed walls began to crumble. For the first time in years, he wasn't James Carter, the CEO. He was just James. A man sharing a meal with 2 kind strangers on Christmas Eve. Maya ordered chocolate cake for dessert, insisting they all share 1 piece with 3 forks. It tastes better when you share it, she explained with the confidence of someone who knew important truths about life. As they ate the cake, Maya told them about her school, her friends, her dream of becoming a writer someday. I want to write stories that make people feel things, she said, her eyes shining with passion. Happy things, sad things, all the things, because feelings are important, even the sad ones. Why are the sad feelings important? Mr. Carter asked, genuinely curious. Maya thought about it, taking her time to find the right words. Because if you never feel sad, you can't really appreciate when you're happy, she explained. It's like if it was sunny every single day, you wouldn't think sunshine was special anymore. You need rainy days to make you grateful for the sun. Mr. Carter sat back in his chair, stunned by the wisdom coming from this 12-year-old. He had spent years trying to avoid sadness, to bury grief, to push away uncomfortable emotions. He worked constantly so he wouldn't have to feel the emptiness, the loneliness, the regret. But Maya was right. By avoiding the sad feelings, he had also numbed himself to the happy ones. That's very wise. Maya, he said quietly. She grinned, chocolate cake on her lip. My grandma used to say that, she admitted. I didn't understand it when I was little, but now I think I do. Grace reached over and wiped the chocolate from Maya's face with a napkin, the gesture so full of maternal love that Mr. Carter felt his heart ache. He remembered doing the same thing for Emily and Michael when they were small, wiping sticky fingers and messy faces, reading bedtime stories, tucking them in at night. When had he stopped doing those things? And when had he become too busy, too important, too focused on building an empire to notice his children growing up without him? James, Grace said gently, noticing the sadness on his face, are you okay? He nodded, not trusting his voice for a moment. Then he said, I'm just thinking about how much time I've wasted, how many moments like this I've missed, but you're here now. Maya pointed out, that's what matters. My teacher says that every moment is a chance to start over. You can't change yesterday, but you can change what you do tomorrow. Your teacher sounds like a smart person, Mr. Carter said. She is. Maya agreed. She also says that it's never too late to say sorry or to tell someone you love them. Those are the 2 most important things. Apologizing when you mess up and telling people you care about them. Mr. Carter pulled out his phone and stared at it for a long moment. The screen showed his wallpaper, a default image of a mountain landscape. Not a photo of his children or grandchildren, just a generic mountain. He couldn't remember the last time he had changed it. Couldn't remember the last time he had even thought about what image represented his life, I think, he said slowly. I think I need to make some calls tomorrow. Good, Maya said firmly. Christmas is the perfect time to talk to people you love. Even if it's been a long time, even if it's hard. Grace smiled at her daughter with obvious pride. You're going to make a wonderful writer. Baby, she said, you understand people's hearts. The restaurant had grown even quieter now. The waiter was cleaning tables in the back, and the snow outside had created a blanket of white that made the whole city look peaceful and clean. Like a fresh start, Mr. Carter thought. Like a blank page. Can I ask you something? Mr. Carter said to Grace, "How do you do it? How do you raise such an amazing daughter while working night shifts and dealing with everything life throws at you? How do you stay so positive?" Grace was quiet for a moment, considering the question. "I don't always stay positive," she admitted. "Some days are really hard. Some days I cry in the shower because I'm so tired and worried about money and whether I'm doing enough for Maya." She glanced at her daughter, who was drawing patterns in the leftover chocolate on her plate. "But then I remember that Maya is watching me. She's learning how to live by watching how I live. So I try to show her that even when things are difficult, you keep going, you find things to be grateful for, you help others when you can. You appreciate the small moments." "Like this moment," Maya added, looking up from her plate. "Like this moment," Grace agreed. Mr. Carter felt something shift inside him. A fundamental change in how he saw the world. These two people had so much less than him in terms of money and material possessions, but they had something far more valuable. They had each other. They had gratitude. They had the ability to find joy in simple things. He had spent his entire adult life climbing a ladder, only to realize he had leaned it against the wrong wall. He had reached the top and found nothing there but emptiness and regret. "I've been living wrong," he said suddenly, the words surprising even himself. "For years, decades maybe, I've been chasing the wrong things. I thought success meant money and power and respect, but sitting here with you both, I realized that success is something completely different. What is it?" Maya asked, interested. "Connection," Mr. Carter said, the realization forming as he spoke. "Love. Moments like this, where you're truly present with people who matter, where you're not thinking about the next meeting or the next deal, but just being here, really here in this moment." Grace nodded, understanding in her eyes. "It takes a lot of courage to admit that," she said softly. "It takes a 12-year-old girl asking a lonely man to dinner," Mr. Carter replied, looking at Maya with genuine affection. "Thank you, Maya. Thank you for seeing me, for inviting me to sit with you, for reminding me what really matters." Maya smiled, that gap-toothed grin that had become so familiar over the course of the evening. "You're welcome," she said simply. "That's what people are supposed to do, help each other. Notice each other, be kind to each other." The waiter approached with the bill, and Mr. Carter immediately reached for it. "Please, let me," he said to Grace. "It would be my honor," Grace started to protest. But Mr. Carter held up his hand. "You've given me something far more valuable tonight than a meal," he said. "You've given me hope, perspective, a reason to believe that maybe it's not too late to change. This is the least I can do," Grace smiled. "Thank you, James." "That's very kind," as Mr. Carter paid the bill, leaving a generous tip for the patient waiter who had witnessed this unexpected Christmas Eve dinner. He felt lighter than he had in years. The heavy weight of loneliness and regret was still there, but it had shifted, become more manageable, because now he knew what he needed to do. The three of them stood outside Angelo's restaurant, wrapped in their coats as snow continued to fall softly around them. The street was quiet now, peaceful, with only the sound of distant traffic and the occasional car passing by. The city looked magical under its white blanket. Like something from a Christmas card, Maya looked up at the falling snow with wonder, catching flakes on her mittens and watching them melt. "It's so beautiful," she whispered, "like the whole world is getting a fresh start." Mr. Carter looked at the snow with new eyes, seeing the beauty Maya saw instead of the inconvenience he usually complained about. Traffic delays, slippery sidewalks, the mess. Those were the things he normally noticed. But Maya was right. There was something beautiful about it. Something pure and clean and hopeful. "Thank you both," Mr. Carter said, his voice thick with emotion he no longer tried to hide. "This evening has meant more to me than you could possibly know." Grace smiled warmly, pulling her coat tighter against the cold. "Thank you for joining us, James. I think we all needed this tonight." "Will you really call your kids tomorrow?" Maya asked, looking up at him with those serious brown eyes that seemed to see straight into his soul. Mr. Carter pulled out his phone and opened his contacts. There were Emily's and Michael's numbers, names he scrolled past dozens of times a day but never called. "Yes," he said firmly. "I will. First thing in the morning, I promise." "Good," Maya said, satisfied. Then she reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small notebook and a pencil. She scribbled something on a page, tore it out, and handed it to Mr. Carter. "Here's my mama's phone number," she said. "In case you need someone to talk to, or if you want to tell us how the calls went. We care about you now, you're our friend." Mr. Carter took the paper, staring at the carefully written numbers. His eyes began to sting with tears. When was the last time someone had offered him friendship without wanting something in return? "Thank you, Maya," he managed to say. "You're a very special young lady." "I know," Maya said with a grin, then added more seriously,
But you're special too, Mr. James.
"You just forgot for a while, but that's okay. Sometimes people forget important things and they need someone to remind them." Grace put her hand on her daughter's shoulder. "We should get going, baby. The subway will be running on a holiday schedule, and we have a long ride home." But Maya wasn't quite ready to say goodbye. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around Mr. Carter's waist in a tight hug. He stood frozen for a moment, surprised. Then slowly, carefully, he hugged her back. This child who barely knew him was offering comfort and affection so freely, so generously. "Merry Christmas, Mr. James," Maya said into his coat. "Merry Christmas, Maya," he replied, his voice breaking when Maya stepped back. Grace extended her hand. Mr. Carter shook it, but Grace surprised him by pulling him into a brief hug as well. "You take care of yourself," she said softly, "and really do make those calls. Life is too short for regrets." "I will," Mr. Carter promised. "I really will." As Grace and Maya started walking toward the subway station, Mr. Carter stood on the sidewalk watching them go. Maya turned back several times, waving enthusiastically each time he waved back, feeling something warm spreading through his chest despite the cold air. "Mr. James," Maya called out one last time. "Remember, tomorrow is a new day. You can be whoever you want to be." He nodded. Unable to speak past the lump in his throat, he watched until they disappeared around the corner. Two figures in colorful coats leaving footprints in the fresh snow. Then he was alone again on the quiet street. But somehow the loneliness felt different now. Less heavy, less permanent. Mr. Carter looked down at the piece of paper in his hand. Grace Thompson's phone number written in Maya's careful handwriting. He carefully folded it and put it in his wallet, right next to his credit cards and business cards. A reminder that not everything valuable was made of plastic and numbers. He started walking toward his apartment, but his feet felt lighter than they had in years. The snow crunched under his expensive shoes, and he found himself looking up at the falling flakes instead of down at his phone. Buildings were decorated with lights and wreaths. Windows glowed warm and golden somewhere in the distance. He could hear Christmas music playing. When was the last time he had really listened to Christmas music? And when was the last time he had actually paid attention to the world around him instead of being lost in spreadsheets and strategy meetings? Mr. Carter stopped at a shop window that was still lit up despite the late hour. Inside, he could see a display of children's books. One caught his eye, a colorful cover showing a little girl in a starry sky. He thought of Maya and her dream of becoming a writer. He thought of Lucas, his grandson he barely knew, who was probably just learning to love books. Before he could talk himself out of it, Mr. Carter tried the door. It was locked, but he could see a woman inside preparing to close. He knocked gently and she looked up. She shook her head and pointed at the closed sign, but Mr. Carter knocked again. More urgently, the woman came to the door, cracking it open. "We're closed," she said, not unkindly. "Please," Mr. Carter said. "I need to buy some books. It's important. Christmas gifts for my grandson and for a new friend." "I'll be very quick, I promise." The woman studied his face, perhaps seeing something in his desperate expression that moved her. She sighed and opened the door. "Make it fast," she said. "I've been here since 6 this morning." "Thank you," Mr. Carter said gratefully, rushing inside. He grabbed the book about the starry sky, then several more, picture books about adventure and kindness and family, books he could send to Lucas, books he could give to Maya. He added a notebook with a leather cover, something perfect for a young writer. At the counter, the woman rang up his purchases. "Someone's going to have a nice Christmas," she commented. "I hope so," Mr. Carter said, pulling out his credit card. Then he paused. "Actually, could you add that display of books in the window? I'd like to donate them to a children's hospital or shelter." The woman's tired face broke into a smile. "That's very generous," she said. "There's a children's ward at St. Mary's that would love them." "Perfect," Mr. Carter said, and for once, spending money felt meaningful instead of empty. He left the bookstore with a large bag, feeling like he was carrying something precious. The snow was still falling and the night was still cold, but Carter felt warm from the inside out. He had spent countless Christmases alone, numb and disconnected, but tonight was different. Tonight, a 12-year-old girl had seen him, really seen him, and had offered him something he didn't know he needed: kindness, wisdom, and hope. Tonight, he had been reminded that it was never too late to change, never too late to reach out, never too late to choose connection over isolation. As he walked home through the snowy streets, Mr. Carter made a mental list: call Emily in the morning, call Michael, tell them he loved them, tell them he was sorry, ask about Lucas, really ask. Not just polite questions, but genuine interest. Book a flight to California. Book a flight to Switzerland. Show up. Be present. Be the father and grandfather he should have been all along. And maybe, just maybe, invite Grace and Maya to lunch sometime, to thank them properly for giving him back something he thought he had lost forever: the ability to feel, to connect, to hope. Mr. Carter woke up on Christmas morning to sunlight streaming through his penthouse windows. For a moment, he lay still, disoriented. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the heating system. Then the memories of the previous evening came flooding back: Maya's gap-toothed smile, Grace's warm kindness, the shared meal at Angelo's restaurant, the feeling of being truly seen for the first time in years. He sat up and reached for his phone on the nightstand. It was 7:30 in the morning. California would be 4:30. Too early to call. Switzerland was 9 hours ahead, making it 4:30 in the afternoon there. A reasonable time. Mr. Carter stared at Michael's number for a long time, his finger hovering over the call button. Fear gripped him. Fear of rejection. Fear of awkward silence. Fear that too much time had passed to bridge the gap. But then he remembered Maya's words. You start with hello. That's how all conversations start. He pressed the call button. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Mr. Carter's heart pounded so hard he could hear it in his ears. Maybe Michael wouldn't answer. Maybe he had deleted his father's number. Maybe... Dad? Michael's voice came through, surprised but not angry. Is everything okay? The sound of his son's voice, full of concern, nearly broke Mr. Carter completely. Yes, he managed to say. Yes, everything's okay. I just wanted to call and say Merry Christmas, son. There was a pause, and Mr. Carter could hear voices in the background, music playing, the sounds of life being lived. Merry Christmas, Dad, Michael said, his voice softening. I wasn't expecting to hear from you. I know, Mr. Carter said. I've been a terrible father, an absent father. I've missed so much of your life, Michael, and I'm so sorry. Another pause, longer this time. When Michael spoke again, his voice was thick with emotion. Dad, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Mr. Carter replied. I just need you to know that I'm sorry, so deeply sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing, working hard to provide for you and Emily. But I was wrong. I should have been there, should have come to your exhibition in Paris, should have been a part of your life instead of just a name on birthday cards. Dad, Michael said quietly, and Mr. Carter could hear tears in his voice. I've wanted to hear you say that for so long. I know, Mr. Carter said, his own tears flowing freely now. And I should have said it years ago. Can you forgive me? Can we start over? Not start over, that's the wrong word. Can we start from here and build something better? Yes, Michael said immediately. Yes, I'd like that very much. They talked for an hour. Really talked. For the first time in years. Michael told him about his photography, about his travels, about a woman he had been seeing, about his hopes and dreams. Mr. Carter listened, really listened, asking questions and showing genuine interest. He told Michael about the previous evening, about Maya and Grace, about the wake-up call he had received from a 12-year-old girl. She sounds amazing, Michael said. I'd like to meet her someday. Maybe you can, Mr. Carter said. I'm going to call Emily next, and then I'm going to book flights to see you both. If that's okay. More than okay, Dad, Michael replied. Come visit, please. I have so much I want to show you. When they finally hung up, Mr. Carter sat on his bed crying, but these weren't tears of loneliness or regret. They were tears of relief, of hope, of new beginnings. He called Emily next. The conversation was harder. Emily had more walls up, more hurt to work through. But she listened, and when he apologized, when he told her he wanted to be a real grandfather to Lucas, her voice cracked. "Lucas needs his grandpa," she said softly. "And maybe I still need my dad too." "I'm here," Mr. Carter promised. "From now on, I'm here." After the calls, Mr. Carter got dressed and walked to the post office, carrying the books he had bought the night before. He mailed the package to Lucas with a note. "Dear Lucas, I'm sorry I haven't been a better grandfather. I hope you'll let me read these to you soon. Love, Grandpa." He also prepared the leather notebook for Maya, writing inside the cover, "For Maya," whose words changed a life. "Never stop writing, never stop seeing people. The world needs your kindness. Your friend, James Carter." Then he pulled out the piece of paper with Grace's number and called. "Hello?" Grace answered, sounding slightly out of breath. "Grace, it's James Carter from last night." "James," Grace said warmly. "Merry Christmas, how are you?" "I'm good," he said, and realized it was true. "I'm really good. I wanted to thank you and Maya again. And I wanted to tell you that I called my children this morning. Both of them. We talked, really talked, and it was everything I needed." "Oh, James, that's wonderful," Grace said, genuine happiness in her voice. "Maya will be so happy to hear that. She's been asking about you all morning. Is she there? Can I talk to her?" "Of course! Hold on!" He heard the phone being passed, then Maya's excited voice. "Mr. James, did you really call them? Did you really do it?" "I did," Mr. Carter confirmed, smiling through his tears. "And Maya, it was because of you." "Because you saw a lonely man and invited him to dinner? Because you reminded me what really matters? You changed my life." "That's so cool," Maya said, clearly pleased. "See? I told you tomorrow was a new day. You can be whoever you want to be." "You were right," Mr. Carter agreed. "You were absolutely right." He made plans to meet Grace and Maya for lunch the following week, to return the notebook he had bought, to continue this unexpected friendship that had given him back his life. As he hung up the phone, Mr. Carter looked around his expensive, empty apartment. It looked different now, not like a monument to success, but like a starting point, a place he could leave from to build the life he should have been living all along. He thought about Maya's words about rain and sunshine, about how you needed both to appreciate life fully. He had been living in rain for so long, trapped in his own storm of loneliness and regret. But now, finally, he could see sunshine breaking through. Mr. Carter walked to his window and looked out at the snow-covered city. Families were walking below, children playing, people celebrating together. And for the first time in years, instead of feeling separate from all that joy, he felt connected to it. Part of it, worthy of it. One simple question. "Do you want to have dinner with me?" asked by a brave, kind-hearted girl, had changed everything. It had reminded him that success wasn't measured in dollars or deals, but in connections and love and moments of genuine human kindness. Tomorrow, he would start making real changes. He would book those flights, would clear his calendar, would show up for the people who mattered. But today, Christmas Day, he would sit with the warmth of renewed relationships and the hope of new beginnings. Because Maya was right. Every moment was a chance to start over, and James Carter was finally ready to start living.